Good morning. How are you today? It's just gorgeous in Virginia today. The sun is out, the sky is blue, and it's a terrific Friday. And I only wish I didn't have so much to do today because I like to just hang out outside. It's that nice out. And maybe I'll get a chance if I can do what I have to do today more efficiently. The, the stories today are kind of mixed. I'm walking between some trees here. We have Rudy, who is, as you know, being investigated by prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, and they've just found a special master to review whether or not anything seized from his house or his apartment was privileged. Can you imagine the pressure? And even with your experience, and sometimes with your experience, you know more what it can be, how hard it can be, because you know how it works. And so he's in this pressure cooker, but I don't see the Southern District of New York coming through as fast as the DA in Manhattan. And the DA has got a grand jury that's going to be working for 6 months, and I think he's going to try to finish in 3. And I think it's less about investigating. I think he's done that. I think what he's doing, what his team is doing, is presenting to the grand jury, presenting the case. So that's pretty important. I think it's very nice that Trump has been thrown off social media because of safety concerns. That's something, isn't it? Well, we all know it. It's really something that social media has figured this out, but that all these agencies and so forth, with all their power, civil and criminal, they can't put a hand on this guy. And, you know, it reaches a point where if you don't enforce any law, then the disuse of the law in terms of sanctions could lead a person to think, well, I can do this. In fact, some people might describe it as a right. If it's not wrong and it's allowed, then what's the big deal? And so years ago, I used this principle in a case. Didn't work, but Rusty Wing, a great lawyer from New York, also a former prosecutor, he introduced me to the theory of destitute, which means disuse. Well, that's what we're doing by the fact that we don't act about Trump. We don't act about these bad guys, and that's got to change. When dealing with government, another thing we should keep in mind, I think, is what in blazes were they doing in Minneapolis? You know, here we had the murder of George Floyd, and the man's convicted, the cop who killed him, and others are going to be prosecuted. But they take down all the memorials at that location, and they do it under dark of morning, dawn, night, and as a result, people came to the square, and all these memorabilia, all this material that allowed people to be thinking about, well, both the hope and the enlightened reaction to the death of a man whose only crime may have been his color. And that's what Minneapolis did. And we wonder why we have problems with race in America when we do things like that. So what kind of community genius figured that out? Now, one of the last things that I find really upsetting is what we're doing about infrastructure. We thought we were going to have $2.2 trillion of infrastructure. We were going to have the wealthiest pay for it. And now, we hear yesterday that Biden talks to the Republican senator from West Virginia, and she only proposes $500 billion. And you'd already come down from 2.2 trillion to 1.9 trillion. And now they're seriously considering $500 billion. And get this, they're not going to tax the rich. And the House yesterday, they introduced legislation which was for $500 billion, and banks don't pay any of that. And so how are they going to pay for it? Well, this is the really aggravating thing. The way they're really going to pay for it is they're going to tax us. Gas and diesel fuel will be taxed in order to pay for the infrastructure. You know, politicians will break your heart every time, it just seems. And so we have to push back. I know it's a tiring process, and those bad players, those bad actors count on us being tired, exhausted even, unable to mount what's necessary to oppose these wrong-headed policies. And, you know, public enemy number one continues to be Manchin. Write him notes, call his office, let him know you care, because he has to pay for it in some way, and his shame is not enough. We want his vote. So, get out, have a good time in the heat and the sun, and I'm going to try to get out again later after I finish this walk. So, be well, and I'll talk to you tomorrow on Saturday. Maybe something great happened in the news this Friday. Bye-bye.